What's up, guys, and welcome to Small Time World. I'm your host, Small Time Hero. Let's talk Invincible Season 4, Episode 7, Don't Do Anything Rash. So once again, we kind of open up with a flashback. And in the flashback, we are on the planet Relonian, and we see that the Viltrumites are mining the resources out of Relonia. And we actually see that the Relonians are creating a revolt. They're getting together and they are blowing up the mining crafts and basically taking out the Viltrumites as they do it also. As the explosion actually happens, we go back to a Viltrumite conference center where we see Thrag, we see Emperor Argyle, we see Thrag, we see General Krieg, we see Thaddeus. And at this moment, we are actually seeing the descent between Thaddeus and the Viltrumite Empire. General Krieg says that they should basically reduce the Relonian citizenship to 25%, and so basically in order to make them stop revolting, to scare them into submission. Thaddeus speaks out on this. He says that he doesn't think that they should, start killing them, and that as Viltrumites, don't they find their strength admirable? And that's when Argyle says, that's when Thrag says that their strength may be admirable, but basically that that their weakness is an offense to the general order of the universe, is what he actually says, and Argyle agrees. They just ask Argyle to actually consider, and Argyle gives him this look like, don't overstep. Flash forward, we actually see Thrag and Emperor Argyle talking, and Thrag basically tells Emperor Argyle when they served together on Capita Minor that Thaddeus was one of the most ruthless Viltrumites that he knew. But since his stay on Ley, which I think is another planet, he has changed in how he sees. He speaks of forgiveness and mercy. And like the way Thrag says it is like that's not a normal thing, but he's like, he speaks of forgiveness and mercy. And that's not the Thaddeus I knew, or not the Thaddeus that I served with. And Argyle is just like, well, if you see weakness in him, then you need to snub it out. Like that's Argyle, like, hey, you think he should go? Get him the fuck up out of here. Go. So so Argyle says that to Thrag, and Thrag is like, he thinks about it, but he's also like, nah, I could be mistaken. We see Emperor Argyle enter in some kind of room, but up in the shafters, we actually see Thaddeus, who is up there with a knife. And we find out that Thaddeus killed General Argyle that night. And, they have a funeral for General Argyle. Everyone is sad. It's a really sad day in Viltrumite history, but Thrag makes a speech, and basically he asks one of the, I'm guessing it was the general, because they were standing up there next to Thrag, and he's like, can I trust you? And can I trust you not to betray, Viltrumite culture or whatever? And Buddy like, yeah, you can trust me. And he still takes his head the fuck off. And I mean clean, quick, precise, very little blood. Thrag is a very, very, very skilled. Thrag is a very skilled killer. Okay? Okay, so once that happens, Thrag is like, all right, so now that we know that we got weakness within our midst, y'all snub that shit out. And basically he tells the Viltrumites to kill each other, and whomever lives are the strongest, and like whoever dies are weak, and they would have killed us anyway. So we are seeing not only one Viltrumite genocide, but actually two Viltrumite genocides at this point. And this one is caused by Thrag, which I thought was interesting that nobody brought up. But yeah, so we see the Viltrumites go at it, and I mean, they are ripping through each other, busting through heads. They are allowing each other to like team up and be killed. We even see the kids are killing each other and going after each other, and like this shit it's insane, honestly. To see them like actually do this is really kind of crazy, because like we saw early on what the Scourge virus did, but this right here is a whole nother level of, whoa, what the fuck? So if these niggas have no problem killing themselves, they definitely have zero problem killing you. Like, at this point, that's just how I feel. Like, they don't have any problem killing anyone else. They killed millions of each other. So after Thrag is he's hidden for a few days and he comes out, he's like, no more. Conquest is in the middle of killing somebody and he's like, no more. And Conquest is like still finna do it, and Thrag is like, nigga, I said no more. And Conquest is like, he relents. So like I think that was to show how powerful Thrag is, and like the fact that Conquest is afraid of him, who he should have been afraid of Mark, but he's actually afraid of him. So I think that's what that shows. So after Thrag calls off the killing of each other, we just see these bodies. And he's like, we will rebuild and we will be stronger, and we snuffed out the weakness that was within us and all of this craziness. Thrag does make a promise to take care of Thaddeus. So the end of the episode is kind of like a long time promise if we're really talking. They should call this the Viltrumite Civil War, honestly, because that's kind of what it looks like. On Telescaria, Thaddeus tells the coalition that the time is now, the time is to strike now. If they are going to, in fact, make a difference, then they need to go ahead and take out the Viltrumites now before the rest of them get there. That way that they can scatter and they won't have a home plan. They won't have a home. And Alan points out that there'll still be like 40 something Viltrumites looking for blood. And Thaddeus is really very sure. He's incredibly sure about the fact that they will scatter if they have no leader, and or they will infight like they did before, which is very true. Once Thrag, well, but Thrag told them to do that, so I don't know. Like, he was the leader, so I don't know if that's a cause for like not being a leader type shit. Okay, so they say, all right, we're gonna go. So on the way to Viltrum, Mark actually starts a message to Eve, which I feel like it's because he almost died fighting Conquest again, that he's like, let me go ahead and like tell her what's going on, so she not looking crazy, or like she doesn't have anything from me at the end. And so he starts the message, but eventually he's just kind of like, nah, fuck that, I'm coming home, so I don't have to actually do this. Which I was very like, that's me. That was something that I was thinking, like, that's a me move. Like, I would be like, nah, I know I'm coming home, so I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna write this mess. So Alan has like these little gummy type situations that he's trying to get everybody to eat. And honestly, like, I'm with Zoe, aka Tech Jacket. I'm like, no, it has a face. Like, ew. And the rest of the group talk about what their final meal would be, basically if they're going to die. Which I feel like this is honestly, like, I would be feeling that way too. Viltrumites are imposing and they are incredibly strong, and we done fought them a few times and it's been fucking hard. So I would be scared too. So I would be talking about my final dinner too. I love battle beasts. I know it's a lot of people out there that's just like, I love battle beasts, because he said his last meal will be his own blood. And I'm just like, man, this man lives to fight. He lives to fucking fight. You hear me? Nolan and Thetis actually have a conversation. And Nolan is like, they both agree that Thrag has to die, but Nolan is kind of like, do all the Viltrumites have to die? And Thetis is like, yes, they have to die. They are all capable of untold like amounts of damage, and they can kill a lot of people. I mean, I definitely feel like in this point, Thetis has kind of like a grudge, but at the same time, I understand where he's coming from. But I feel like so many years have left him like built up content for these people, and it's just like he can't see past the fact that they're all Viltrumites. And like, I think a big part of that is when Nolan says, Mark and Oliver are Viltrumites also. Like, they're part Viltrumite also, and they just says nothing. I feel like that was very telling. Like, I'll kill your sons too if I got to, which is crazy, which is insane to me, because they're helping with this fucking fight right now. So the coalition actually gets to Viltrum. Zoe gets this Sinlac poison, which is supposed to like basically make the Viltrumites weak. We actually see Oliver question whether Thaddeus was going to fight or not. And it's funny, his face is like, when Thaddeus takes off that robe and he's still jacked. But I mean, Viltrumites retain their physical like whateverness for millions of years. So yes, he would be jacked. But it was funny because Oliver was like, what the fuck? And Mark was even like, what is going on? So Nolan tells the boys, and he's kind of talking to Thetis too, but he tells them that no matter what, they stick together. That's the only way they're going to win this. Mark actually kind of piggybacks on what Nolan says, but he's directing it to Oliver like, hey, look, that's the only way we're going to win is if we stick together. And he's trying to get Oliver to understand the magnitude of what's going on. And even Nolan says that no matter how strong you think you are, no matter how good at fighting you think you are, Thrag is 1,000 times better. So Alan and General Telia are back there tonguing each other down. Thetis tells them that the only thing that actually matters is Thrag's death. So, let's get to it. We actually see the rings of Viltrum, and Nolan explains what happened, how the rings actually came to be, but the animation shows like clouds of bodies and like just clouds of different bodies and dead people. It's billions and billions of Viltrumites. And I remember watching the episode and realizing like it was a lot because it was a ring, but like when they're flying through that actual ring, you just see clouds and swirls and shit. And it's just like, oh my God, so many people died. Well, so many Viltrumites died. I don't want to call them people because they're not people, but so many Viltrumites died. And so it went from like literal like maybe tens of billions of Viltrumites to 50. That's enormous. They committed genocide yes, they committed genocide amongst each other because Thetis created the scourge virus. The Viltrumites who are alive are actually hiding within the rings, and we see Thrag standing in the middle, like I guess the area between the rings and you get to planet Viltrum. And he is standing there very, very solid. Like nothing is moving him. He is just very, very just standing there, really ominous. It's honestly like the craziest, like scariest ambush I think I've seen in animation in a while. Like it just kind of was like crazy. So the Viltrumites go at it and they are fighting. Everyone is fighting. And the first person who takes on a wound is Thetis. He gets cut in the back by the Viltrumite. I think her name is like Thelia or something like that. She cuts him with her braid blade. I like that. So she cuts him with her braid blade, and like he turns around and he like knocks her out. And Zoe is using the Sinlac poison, and so Zoe actually hits one of the Viltrumites with the Sinlac poison. It's a lot going on. I'm not going through names. So Zoe actually hits one of the Viltrumites with the Sinlac poison, and Alan comes up and punches through the Viltrumite. Mind you, Viltrumites have never been this vulnerable ever, 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 ever. Like that is not something that Alan should be able to do. So they realize, okay, it works. Oliver gets hit, which creates like, Nolan trying to make sure Oliver's okay and Mark trying to make sure Oliver's okay. Like, I will say this. Me and my homegirl was talking. Oliver should have stayed home. Oliver should have stayed home. This was not a fight for him. I mean, he might be integral to like the comics or the war in the comics or something like that. But right now he is getting his ass whooped and he's a liability. Anessa and Nolan actually go at it where Nolan gets punched by Anessa, and Anessa says, "Oh, your time on Earth has made you soft." And Nolan is like, "Don't count on it." And he punches her back. It's actually pretty cool. Mark actually gets beat up. Zoe does blow up one of the Viltrumites. A laser whizzes by, and it's Space Razor, but it's crazy because the laser goes by Thrag. He does not move. Thrag does not move. So the laser goes by Thrag, and of course it's Space Racer, but like everybody's like, get his gun, get the Viltrumites like, get his gun, because they know he can blow a fucking hole in some shit. And so he's like, nah, it ain't my goddamn gun you need to be worried about this time. It's these space demons who, like, he released all of these fucking space demons and they go attack the Viltrumites, and they are ripping the Viltrumites apart. Like, it's actually kind of crazy. They are ripping the Viltrumites apart. It's actually kind of crazy how it's going down. But yeah, so like we have a whole lot of different weapons on our side. So Nolan actually goes after Thrag, and Thrag sidesteps Nolan, and then this nigga punches him into the atmosphere. Like he punches him so hard that he catches fire entering the fucking atmosphere. But when Nolan actually is about to fall, we see Viltrum. And as you can tell, Viltrum isn't in a great place. It looks like pollution is ran rapid. It looks beat down. And we've seen flashbacks of what, Viltrum used to look like. So we know that this cannot be good for the planet. We see Nolan enter the atmosphere, and then he strikes right where his parents jumped him on his 18th birthday. So after Nolan comes to, Thrag has already made it. We see another lightning strike again. So I think that was Thrag. I can't prove it, but I think that was Thrag. Thrag offers to Nolan to talk. Nolan is like, when have we ever talked? Our people don't talk. And Thrag is like, I want to talk now. Thrag's whole conversation for Nolan is basically, come home. Thrag tells Nolan to come home, and Nolan says they don't have a home. And Thrag says that Viltrumite is a people. They will always have a home. And Nolan is basically like, look at this place. It's a fucking tomb. Like, what are you talking about? This is a tomb. This is not a home. And Thrag actually gets upset with Nolan saying that. Like, he almost like, lunges at him like, how dare you? But I mean, if you look at the atmosphere is nasty. It's not a home. I agree with Nolan. Nolan says, how can he come home with what they did to his boys? And Thrag says that they tested Mark and Oliver just as they tested all of everyone else. And just as Nolan was tested, which we did see Nolan be tested on his 18th birthday. But Nolan not trying to hear that shit. Like, but that's how you can tell he is no longer a Viltrumite. He has truly become a human, because he's like, no, y'all jumped my sons. But at the very same time your parents jumped you, your mama tried to kill your motherfucking ass. She tried to take you the fuck up out of here. So it's like those two things going against each other. It's like, yeah, you definitely came and attacked my kids, and I don't appreciate that. I don't like that shit. I'm mad. But at the same time, I definitely got my ass whooped too. Thrag asks Nolan, like, do you really think that if you win this war, that Thaddeus will leave your boys alone? Nolan acknowledges that he knows Thaddeus will kill his son. And Thrag is like, oh, it's good to see you're not that gullible. But, like, that conversation on the way to Viltrum definitely let us know that Thaddeus had no problem killing Mark and Oliver, even though they are helping them get to where they need to be. So Nolan says that they don't have to, they don't have to fight, and that they can come to a deal. And Thrag is like, when have our people ever come to a deal? Which is, reminiscent of when Nolan says, when have we ever talked? So Thrag is like, look, I don't want a deal. I want you to come home. You can bring your boys. You can be at home. But I don't want this shit. Thrag tries to get Nolan to leave the coalition. Nolan tries to get Thrag to deal. And they basically are at a stalemate. They're like, neither one of them is like, I'm not doing this. So Thrag tells Nolan that any death of a Viltrumite leaves a void in him. This is why I feel like Thrag is so dangerous. Thrag believes wholeheartedly in everything that he is doing. There's like this idea that if Hermione were evil, she would basically be Voldemort. I think Thrag is one of those characters. He's so determined and cannot be changed from what he knows about Viltrum and who he is, that he is that fucking dangerous. He is set on one thing and one thing alone, and that is Viltrumites being superior, Viltrumites, being the top of the food chain. But one thing that I do think is really interesting is that he does have like a kind of a hard time, shedding Viltrumite blood. Like, we see him hurt a lot of people, but we always see like a pain in the situation. Like, it's painful for him to take a Viltrumite life or to cause harm to Viltrumites. Like, even, like when everything goes down at the end, he seems very remorseful, which I felt like was weird. Thrag says that he's just trying to bring Nolan home, and he's even willing to spare Mark's life. He does not say Oliver, but he says he'll spare Mark's life. And Nolan is like, no, this isn't my home anymore. And Thrag whined. I don't know if it was a whine or if he like moves so fast that the air pressure wound around his arm. But this man tornado punches fucking Nolan through the atmosphere. Like, he already punched him down to the goddamn planet. He punched this nigga out the fucking atmosphere. I was like, bro, what is happening right now? Like, I'm literally on my feet, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because, like, it is going down. You hear me? After Nolan actually after Nolan goes back into space, Oliver decides that he was going to go after fucking Thrag. I don't know if he just punched your daddy through the damn atmosphere. Why in the fuck do you think that you have any, like, Oliver? God damn it, Oliver. And so Oliver goes after Thrag, and Thrag catches Oliver, and he crushes his hand. He pulls his arm off, and he pulls off his jaw. And I mean, he did Oliver dirty, boy. And I mean, it was just so bad. Like, it was so fucking bad. And of course, Mark sees that Oliver just got his jaw and his arm pulled off. And so Mark goes after Thrag. After Mark, flies after Thrag, and he's like, I killed Conquest, I'll kill you too. And what I think is really funny is that all the Viltrumites turned around like, you killed Conquest. Like, everybody kind of like, oh, whoa. Thrag gets this look in his face like, oh, really? Show me. And I thought it was funny because it reminded me of the Nolan scene where him and Oliver are sparring, and Oliver's like, I know how to fight. And Nolan's like, show me then. But, like, it was just funny because I feel like that's a Viltrumite thing, like the show me thing. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Mark did kill Conquest. He did. It took a lot, but he killed Conquest. So Thrag, when Mark punches Thrag, all we see is like this demon looking thing. Like, it's crazy. I don't know what the hell was going on. But, like, we see a blackout situation where, like, it doesn't move him. Like, this nigga's like demon head. I don't know. Like, it just does not move him. And so Thrag catches Mark, and he bitch slaps Mark. And then he throws Battle Beast into space somewhere. We're crushing his oxygen tank. Finally, Nolan actually comes to. He stopped flying through space, and he tells everybody, "Ayo, on me." And he tells everybody to follow him. So right now, the only people who are available are Space Racer Alan, Tech Jacket, Thetis, Nolan, and Mark. And they are flying. And so Nolan is like, which I think is really cool because you actually kind of, like, Nolan should be the coalition leader. Like, Nolan should be the coalition leader. But anyway, so Nolan is like, hey, yo, Space Racer, get out in front. The Space Racer already know what the deal is. So he jump out in front and he shoot his gun. And we know that Space Racer's gun can take out any Viltrumite. So we just hoping that it'll take out the planet. Everybody who is part of the coalition actually gets taken out by Viltrumites. But nobody is paying attention to what Nolan is doing. So Nolan, Mark, and Thetis, all Viltrumites, are like basically heading behind the fucking Space Racer beam bullet situation. Thrag figures out what they're about to do, and he is like trying to catch up with them. Mark and Thetis are on a run. They like, I figure out what they're about to do. Beam actually hits the planet, and just like, I don't know what to call it, like, two shots maybe, like the first shot and then the second shot. So the first beam goes through the planet, and then the second is Nolan, Thetis, and Mark, and they are blowing a fucking hole through Viltrum. They are flying through Viltrum. They are using their bodies as a fucking bomb through Viltrum. I mean, this shit is so good. I was excited when Oliver and Mark flew through the fucking ship, but this right here, nigga. So yeah, they like, it's crazy because like it truly does look like anime. I mean, Mark and everybody's shirts burn off, like Mark's mask burns off. It's really truly crazy going on. And like finally, everything happens and Viltrum explodes and Thrag fucking loses it. All the Viltrumites are in space watching this shit go down, and like they all kind of seem like, of course they're shocked. They're shocked as fuck. But like at the same time, the planet had been done for a while. So they are like seriously like shocked, like what the fuck is going on? But like, your planet gone, baby. That's what's going on. So the Viltrumites actually try to go after Space Racer because they are pissed that he blew a hole in their shit. But when they actually try and go after him, he's able to speed off, and he's like, nah, we got to get the fuck up out of here. Thetis is like, all right, Viltrumites, y'all see that y'all planet is no more. Y'all need to fucking surrender. All we hear is Thrag, and he's like, I'll rather die. and he flies at Thetis and takes Thetis' head off. It was so quick. It was just boom, Thetis is dead. And I mean, chaos ensued. After he takes Thetis' head, he goes after Nolan and he is punching Nolan. He is like, I offered you a home, I offered you forgiveness, I offered you everything, and this is how you repay me by blowing up our fucking home. Like Thrag is truly like in his feelings. Like this shit, like he is fucked, you know? So Nolan is actually able to push Thrag off. Nolan and Mark are having a quick conversation, and Mark is like, how do we beat him? And as soon as he says that, he blasts through fucking Nolan's chest. He then headbutts Mark, and we see the same effect that we saw when Mark punched him in the head and it didn't do shit. He headbutts Mark, and then he takes Mark's face and he starts to not even start, he gouges Mark's eyes out, having a war within himself because so many Viltrumites are already gone. So he's just like, he leaves them and he tells the other Viltrumites, he's like, listen, so many of us are already, it's just too few of us already. So he leaves Mark alive. And I'm not sure if he meant to leave Nolan alive, but Nolan is still alive also, but they are in pieces. Mark had asked Alan to find Oliver, so hopefully Alan found Oliver and they are collected. So Nolan and Mark actually float in space for a while. They don't necessarily tell us how much time has passed, but they float in space for a while. And when they finally do find them, everybody on the coalition ship is like, oh my god, because Nolan's guts are everywhere and Mark's eyes are gouged out. This fight was crazy. They collect Nolan and Mark and they go back to Telescaria. On Telescaria, we actually see Alan over Mark and he wakes up and Alan and Mark have a conversation and Mark asks where his father is. He finds his father and he finds out that Nolan is alive. He is sad, but he's happy that his dad is alive. And Oliver is also, in a back to tank, basically trying to heal. Everybody's okay. Like, nobody's dead. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a whole fucking lot, guys. A whole lot. Alan is now the leader of the coalition, and they're having conversations. General Telia says that she has no idea what the Viltrumites are, that they basically kind of like got the fuck on. They aren't showing up on any kind of scans or anything like that. And Mark has like this realization and he's like, they're going to Earth. And that's where the episode ends. So next week is finale week. So we gonna get into it. Yes, I'm so excited for this finale. This episode was crazy. I was on my feet the whole episode. When they blasted through the Earth, when they blasted through Viltrum, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. And then as soon as Thrag took off his head, I was like, oh, they done for. But listen, guys, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share this episode. Make sure you tell me how you feel about this in my social media comments or even on my YouTube comments. Just let me know. And we can talk about the show, man. I can't believe Invincible is almost over, but I've had so much fun watching with you guys. So let me know how y'all feel and we will talk later. All right.